Hey folks, good morning, it's Brian. I'm back with another installment of the Red Book of Magic. Now I've got to apologize up front. This will probably be a long one as I've got a couple of rabbit holes to drive down as I've been looking at these spells going, well, this doesn't sound right. What did we do before? Okay, and what did other folks do for that matter? Okay, Shape Metal, new spell. Just like Mold Rock, if you remember that spell, right? The caster turns their hands into hammers, tongs, forms, and drills that used to shape metal rather than forming rock. This includes rune metals, but not adamantine. Hopefully that's in the GM book. Okay. The user takes no damage even from the heat from the fire. No problem. Okay. Shattering, old spell. Overcoming the target's power inflicts 4d3 damage to one hit location. Okay. Certainly cheaper than stacking multi-spell disruption with 3 points. Right? Okay. Shield, old spell. Rune varies depending on the cult, and every cult has got two, a few have 3 runes associated with them, right? So if you're Orlanth, right, you could use air rune, or you could use your movement rune. You could use either of those runes to cast the spell, right? Because you have to use a rune to cast the spells. That had me thinking about something, but I don't remember now what it was. Okay, so this spell protects the target from damage for each point stacked. Gives you 2 points of magical armor and 2 points of counter magic. These effects are cumulative. I can't say that word. Additive, right? Okay, with both protection or shouldn't that be and counter magic? Unless when we get to spirit spells, it tells us that protection and counter magic can't be cast together, but I don't recall that offhand. Okay, so anyway, in order to get past the shield, you have to, the spell must be at least 1 point stronger. So if you're using an offensive spell, and I forgot what they were, I had a couple of them from last time, right? If you got 3 points of that spell, 2 points of shield up, whatever, right? Or disruption. If we're using disruption, we boost it with disruption is a 1. We got shield 2, that's 4 points, 5. So if we boost disruption with 4 magic points, because it costs 1 to cast, right? Then it would get past the shield 2, which means the shield 2 would not absorb any damage. Although disruption goes right to magic hit points anyway, so I'm not sure. Interesting. Maybe I'll think through that one again. Okay, so that's all that kind of, it was just like with our reflection, right? Okay. Okay, you can destroy shield spells with Dispel Magic, Dismiss Magic, Neutralize Magic, or Neutralize Rune. How does Neutralize Rune destroy a spell that's already cast? Now, it would have to be the rune that was used to cast the spell in the first place, I think. That's how I would apply it. But once, maybe I need to look up Neutralize Rune again. But that's a sorcery spell, so it tells me that something happens after the fact, so not before. Okay, so. If the spell is cast on caster on a person protected by both counter magic and shield, counter magic spell gets destroyed before the shield spell. Counter magic is a spirit magic spell. It does get destroyed, right? If you overcome it. Does that make sense? Spirit magic first, then the rune magic. Okay. Next spell, new spell, Shield of Darkness. Stackable up to 4 points again. I'm not sure where that comes from. Why do you know we limit shield to 4 points? In fact, if we go back and look at Runequest 2, all stackable spells were limited to 4. Sound like a play balance thing to me, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, so Shield of Darkness gives the target 2 points of armor all over, like you need to say that, and modifies the weapon skill of anyone attacking the target by minus 10% per point stacked. It also creates a dark wall. It is stackable. No, it can be combined. If we use this just like down with shield, it says, where'd it go? The effects of this spell are cumulative with any spirit magic spell, but not with absorption, reflection, shield, or spirit block. There are 3 spells that cannot be combined with absorption, reflection, shield, and spirit block. That's the 2 carapace spells and shield of darkness. It used to be that shield, absorption, reflection, and spirit block all could not be combined with each other, period. So if you had absorption on, you couldn't do shield. If you had spirit block on, you couldn't do reflection. But now, we seem to be able to do that. I can understand that incompatibility. I don't understand this incompatibility. Okay. Stacking to 4 points. I mentioned earlier about RQ2, all stacked spells were limited by 4 points. RQ3 has a statement that says that, stacking spells, there may be some kind of ceiling to the maximum allowed which you can stack, which allows the GM to apply that to different cults. So certain cults would have a higher stacking rate than other cults. I actually like that. Okay, I think that is all the rabbit holes I was going down. It was all tied down to this spell, those 3 areas. Three areas. Okay, new spell, Shooting Star. An arrow, so that's because on an arrow, enhanced. Okay, enhanced by this spell, splits into 2 fiery missiles that leave a glowing trail behind them. Each of those missiles do 3d6 damage and can ignite flammable objects. Good to go. Armor does protect, but the damage cannot be magically resisted because it is physical damage. I'm assuming, no, that doesn't make sense either. Because if we're doing absorption, you should be able to absorb that. If we're doing reflection, we should be able to reflect that. If we're doing shield, the shield is going to absorb damage. Spirit block doesn't apply. So I'm not sure what they mean by magically resisted, unless they're talking specifically about absorption and reflection, in which case, why? Yeah, it's physical damage, but it's a spell. So it's cast on the arrow instead of the person, maybe? That's it. The spell is cast on the arrow, not the person. Okay, so you can't reflect or absorb these missiles. Okay. Okay, the missiles cannot impale, which tells me that its actual fire is not an arrow with fire on it. Right? But it can be critical. Okay, good to go. Which means it gets body armor, right? Okay, so each additional point stack onto the first adds 2 more missiles. But all the missiles have to hit the same target. Well, same opponent, the person you're shooting at, right? Okay, so 1 point gives you 2 missiles, 2 points gives you 4. I think that's how it works. This is how the picture looks. Okay, next spell, Silence Sphere, new spell. Creates a barrier to sound, 3 meters in radius, centered on the target. No sound can pass through the barrier. Characters inside the barrier can talk to each other and hear each other, but no sound outside is coming in and no sound inside is going out. Perfect for making ambushes or sneaking by people. Okay. If, however, you cast it on an unwilling or unknowing enemy, that should be target, right? You have to overcome their power. Okay. By definition, I think if you're an enemy and somebody casts a spell on you, you are unwilling, but that's just me. Silver Track, new spell. Gives the ability, I'm assuming to the caster, gives the caster the ability to track magically for the next 8 hours. The tracker or caster's movement while tracking is 12 on a clear night, 8 if at least 1 star is visible, but 0 if no stars are visible. The tracker, the caster, sees the trail glowing with a silvery glitter, which also doubles the tracking skill. It must be cast on a specific trail, and only that trail will shine. Good to go. Skylight, new spell. Again, stackable up to 4 points, but it gives the target a remote point of view in the sky, up to 250 meters away and 50 meters up. Actually says it hovers 50 meters above instead of up to 50 meters, so maybe that's a set point. But the distance out is up to. Okay, so that's your point of view. Now, the sky has to be cleared, and it can be combined with things like far sea and starsight. Okay, that's another spell we'll get to later. Okay, so while using sky sight, the character, the target of the spell, right, cannot use their own eyes because they're, viewpoint up here, but they can switch back and forth. Okay. Again, stack to 4 points. And each stacking increases either the distance out or the distance up. 500 meters or 100 meters up, that kind of thing, right? And on and on and on. Okay, Slash, old spell. Must be cast on a 1- or 2-handed axe. Each point stacked of Slash increases the damage by 1d6. Cannot be combined with True Weapon. I haven't looked at True Weapon yet. It could be that nothing can be stacked or combined with True Weapon. Okay. Smoldering Rebellion, new spell, 1 use. Okay, this has got a huge write-up. Okay. This is a secret long-term spell that has a life of its own. A priest who has been offended by the land's ruler beyond normal recourse can perform this ritual. They put power into it. Well, it's a 1-use spell. So is that the power, or do you have to add power points into it? It doesn't say. Because it's non-stackable. But by definition, what they're doing here is stacking, so I'm not sure about that either. Okay, so. Okay, once power is put into the spell and the miscreant ruler who is gets named, the spell then dwells in the spirit world. Okay. If the ruler continues in his wicked ways, other priests and acolytes, but we no longer have a definition of acolyte. Right? Right? Okay. So these other people, maybe it's initiates, priests and initiates, are inspired to sacrifice to this spell. I'm assuming power, permanent power, putting permanent power into this spell. In addition to the 1-use cost that was initially cast, unless they all have to cast it. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so the spell feeds on that power and grows. And with every crime the ruler commits, more priests are inspired to put power into the spell. The spell gets stronger and stronger. Each point adds to the final effect. Okay, which could be hundreds of power points in order to have any kind of a chance to have an effect at all. Okay, so no one knows how much power is needed, and different rulers may need different levels, different sizes of spell to be affected. However, once initiated, it can be dispelled, and the spell waits and grows until either the ruler dies, retires permanently, dies, or the spell activates. Okay, no one knows exactly what sets off the spell. They got a quote here: "When the great dog rises, the black cock crows thrice at midnight, and the invisible bell tolls. All men march off to revenge." That's got to be a quote from somewhere. It'd be nice if they had to put that in there. It would have been interesting to find. Okay, but anyway, when the spell does take effect, the whole land's peasant population rises in revolt. I don't see any PC casting this spell. I can see the GM casting this spell and having PCs pump power into it, but this is a complete color or flavor affect for your game. They got a little paragraph here about the spell. The spell was last cast in 1640 when Darjin in the Lunar Heartlands rose against Shing Silaris. Since then, the Red Emperor has always been careful to respect the rights and privileges of the combat people. Good to go. I'm not sure why they have the spell in here. I don't see it being actually cast. They could have this in the GM's book saying, hey, GM, if you want, you can have this happen. And this is what is required. Okay, so last one for this page, Smoke Cloud, new spell. Creates a thick cloud of smoke, 2 meters in diameter for every room point stacked with the spell. Visibility within and through the mist is limited to 1 meter, so you can form a circle around somebody and they're blind, right? Okay, this sounds just like another one we did earlier, but I forgot to look it up. Happy gaming.